Hello and welcome, Creating Magic Vacationeers. I appreciate you joining me today. And I want to start off and say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who might be watching this at all. Additionally, just a couple things to get through before we get into some of the more important stuff is first, every trip I book in June will have a promotion attached to it that I apologize. Every trip I book in June that you travel within 2020, 10% of my commissions will be donated to Give Kids the World, which is a charity that provides free vacations to families with children with terminal illnesses. It's a great charity that they've done a lot of, they've provided a lot of vacations for families who haven't had the opportunity to do that and might not ever have that chance, being the fact that their children, they do have a child that's terminal. So if you have a chance, if you're looking for to get a trip on the books, please let me know. If you're not and you do have a couple extra dollars to spare, please, if you could donate to them. It's a great charity and they really do help out a lot of families in need. I am learning some new software today, so I apologize if I see them a little more discombobulated. So if you can just stick with me and we'll get through all this. So starting out here, Disney World has released a lot of new dates over the past week. First one being is they released some information that they are going to have a new system called Disney Park Pass. What this is before you arrive at the parks, you will have the opportunity to reserve what park you're going to be going to that day. Kind of in the same sense, they did things like Fast Pass, and you'd set your Fast Passes for that day. There's other things with like dining reservations you could do ahead of time, but with this, you're basically, because of the fact that they have restrictions on how many people can be in any park at any one time, you do have to reserve your park ahead of time, and you can only go to one park at a time. That being said, because of that, they have eliminated park hoppers for the foreseeable future. They are planning on bringing them back, from what they've told us, but for now, they are eliminating them because they can't have people going from park to park, because then you're going to be having problems with trying to maintain crowd levels. So with that, though, they have set certain dates that if you have a trip on the books, you will want to log on and reserve your parks for those, because as of now, there are dining reservations that were all canceled, and all Fast Passes were canceled because Fast Passes have also been put on hold for the time being. But you can reserve your park ahead of time. So right now, starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. Central Time, you will be able to go in and reserve your park pass for your entire trip if you are traveling within 2020. That being said, there's a little bit more of a stipulation to it. You do have to have a Disney Resort hotel reservation and a valid theme park admission already on the books. That would include annual passes linked in your My Disney experience before you try to make these reservations. This is the one and only thing that Disney has told us that we're not allowed to do for you. Everything else, when it comes to dining reservations, I love helping people with those. When they bring Fast Passes back, I have no problem getting up at 6 a.m. so that way I can book your Fast Passes for you. But this is the one thing that does need to be booked by you, the traveler, because they do have an agreement that you need to check that says, yes, I understand with my travels, I am running the risk of coming in contact with someone with COVID-19. It's a checkbox that you have to do. It's not something I can agree for you. So because of that, the Park Pass system is the only thing that they have said that agents are not allowed to do, and they do need, it is needed to be done by the traveler themselves. Now, if you have multiple parties going, so say you have 2-3 reservations all linked together, like a few years ago we had one where it was our family and then it was also my parents and my in-laws, and actually my best friend and his family, we all traveled at the same time. At that moment, I'm actually able to do all of it for everybody, But when it comes to, or if I'm the one traveling, I can do it for all of the parties. But as the travel agent, I can't do it for somebody else's parties. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. Is this system is set up that the traveler needs to do this and not the travel agent. I, again, will still help you with everything else, and I'm excited to help you with everything else, but that's the one step that I can't do for you. So Monday, June 22nd, so tomorrow, you will be able to go in and make those Park Pass reservations. I would encourage you to do them sooner rather than later. Reason being is on June 26th, the Park Pass system opens up to annual pass holders who do not have hotel reservations. So for someone who has an annual pass that lives in the area but they don't have a hotel reservation, or say they're staying at a property that's not linked to Disney World, then on June 26th, they can start making their reservations in Disney Park Pass system. June 28th then, so that would be a Sunday, existing ticket holders who are not annual pass holders and do not have a Disney Resort hotel reservation will then be able to go make their Park Pass reservations. So next week actually is a huge week as far as that goes, because all of a sudden we're going to start seeing some of these things start opening up for Disney, which we haven't seen yet. A couple other dates that are really important. Also next Sunday, if you are looking to travel in 2021, new Disney hotel packages and theme park tickets are on sale for arrivals in 2021 on June 28th. So I know for myself, I'm going to be down there for a couple days in January. Luckily, I had mine booked before this, but if I didn't, then I would finally be able to do that. If you're looking for a hotel package that includes theme park tickets, this is when some of those deals start to arrive. So it is something that you want to make sure you're jumping on it as soon as possible, because there is a massive, and I can't emphasize that enough, a massive backlog of people who want to actually travel in 2021. So let me see if I can do this. Tammy, I'm glad to see that you want to travel in 2021, because we're definitely planning on doing a trip, hopefully in July. So definitely glad to see that you want to go with me. Then sometime later this summer, they're being very nondescript on this. Disney is going to start opening up some availability for sales for 2020 tickets and resort hotel reservations. We don't know when this is going to happen. We don't know, in all actuality, we don't know if this is actually going to happen. All we know is that they're saying that they're planning on later this summer, based on availability, based on how everything progresses with the virus and everything else, that, you know, at some point we are going to be selling some more tickets and resort hotel reservations. We'll find out exactly what that is when it happens, or hopefully at least a week ahead of time. But honestly, we right now don't know exactly when that'll happen. All they're saying is later this summer they're going to open it up, and my guess is it's probably more towards like the August time frame, and then looking for reservations like September, October, November, December sort of frame. One other thing that did happen of note for Disney World this past week was Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties were all canceled. So if you did have a reservation for that, you should be seeing a refund for that. They did, though, announce that they are doing a food and wine festival, which I was pessimistic in the fact that I didn't think they were going to actually be able to do that. So I am happy to see that they will be doing some semblance of it. I know that they're not doing concerts, but they do plan on doing a lot of other things around the parks to hopefully mitigate some of that. Disneyland has also proposed a phased reopening. Again, these, just like Disney World, Disneyland is still contingent on final approval, basically days and weeks before, leading up to it, that they're still approved to actually open. So Disneyland, right now they're planning on opening July 9th is when they're planning on reopening Downtown Disney. So I like that they're, again, starting just like they did with Disney Springs. They're starting with Downtown Disney, so they can start to get those cast members back into form and back really comfortable with what the new regulations are going to be. On July 17th, Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park are going to be opening. If you notice on this schedule, the hotels are opening after the parks are. I think this was a smart move, first of all, because Disneyland is much more of a locals park than Disney World is. Disney World does have that contingent of locals that go there, and there's a lot of people that move down there because of Disney World. But Disneyland has always been much heavier with local traffic than it has tourists from outside of the state. So the fact that they're opening those hotels after that gives the locals that jump of that 7 days, so that way then afterwards it may not be as packed with the locals, and there'll be more of the travelers coming in as well. Tammy, I'm glad to know you would also like to move there. Universal Orlando is our topic for today, though, because Universal Orlando has been open for a couple weeks now, and they've been doing it very successfully. There are some things that you should know, and I'm going to go into some of it today. I'm going to dive into a bunch of the information about Universal Orlando, but then I do plan on doing more expanded breakdowns on, say, I'm behind the image, Tamara. There will be more expanded information on, say, the hotels or each of the individual parks on their own individual episodes, which is more what we've done in the previous episodes. So starting off with the Universal hotels. So Universal Orlando Studios has 3 theme parks, and they have 8 resorts. Not nearly the size of Disney World, and in some aspects, that was part of the reason why they were able to open first, is because they didn't have as many moving parts that were hindering them from actually opening. Whereas Disney World has 4 theme parks, and if I remember correctly, it's 28 resorts. So there's a lot more moving parts, and so they needed a lot more time to get that back up and running. So Universal Studios hotels, like I said, there's 8 resorts. You have 4 different tiers. You have your value ones, which is Universal Endless Summer Resort Dockside Inn and Suites, and also Universal Endless Summer Resort Surfside Suites. These are both open now. These were the last ones to open, but they are open now as well. The Prime Value Resorts, first of all, if you look up in the upper left, the Universal Cabana Bay Beach Resort, that is a view you can get out of your room. You can see the Volcano Bay water park from your rooms. It's within walking distance. So that is a nice thing. And each of the resorts has something that is within walking distance. It just depends on what your priorities are and which one you want to be able to walk to. So it is nice to be able to have that option with all of their resorts. The other prime value resort besides Cabana Bay Beach Resort is Universal's Aventura Hotel. One of the things that I actually want to stay at Aventura Hotel for one reason only, and that is because they actually have a robot that'll deliver your room service, or if you call down for towels, if the robot's available, they'll send the robot up to drop off the towels. My partners are actually going to be in Universal this week, and they're staying at Aventura, and one of the things they're doing is actually bringing a GoPro with a tripod, because they're going to order something to try to get it delivered by the robot, so that way they can get a video of it. So hopefully I get that, and then I can share that with you guys next week sometime. If not, I will be sharing that whenever they share that out with us. So the preferred hotel, they have one preferred hotel. It's the Loews Sapphire Falls Resort. And then finally, they have 3 premier hotels. The premier hotels they have are Loews Royal Pacific Hotel, Loews Portofino Bay Hotel, and Hard Rock Hotel. Now, these do have some really cool features, which once I do a deep dive into the hotels and take the entire hour and just focus on those, I'll go into a lot more of that, but just a couple cool things is the premier hotels have suites where one of the rooms is themed for the kids. So, for example, the Hard Rock Hotel has a stage in the room. And I'm assuming they didn't really tell us this, but I'm assuming there's a little more soundproofing within these hotels than other ones because they actually do have guitars that can be used in the rooms. The stage with spotlights, and it is a raised stage, so the kids can put on a little show for the parents, or parents can do a show of, I don't know why, but I can see the parents getting pulled on stage by the kids or something like that. So it's something that could be a lot of fun to stay there. And each one of the premier hotels has suites that are themed with something extra like that. So that's just one reason why you might want to stay there. Some of the benefits to staying at Universal hotels. The first one is you get early park admission. You get to get into any of the parks or the water parks an hour before the general public. So if you're looking for that really cool Diagon Alley picture, you can get that where Diagon Alley is a lot less populated because of the fact that it's only the resort guests that are actually in the park right now. Additionally, they do have 3 forms of transportation. They do have water taxis, they have shuttles, and then the walking paths. Like I said, each one of the hotels is close to one of the other parks, so you can actually walk to those parks. One really nice thing is if you stay at a premier resort, and this is something that if you're on the border of staying at one of, say, either the Prime Value or the Preferred, and you're thinking about maybe doing the Premier, I would definitely encourage you to do the Premier for one reason and one reason only. You also receive the Universal Express Pass Unlimited for free. That's basically like having a free Fast Pass in your pocket all day, where you get to ride each one of the rides without waiting in the line. You just walk through the Express Pass line. And it's unlimited, so you can go on all the rides all day. You can actually do multiple rides. There's I think 2 or 3 rides that are not actually eligible for the Express Pass. One of which is Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. That one's still a very new ride. When it opened, it actually had a 12-hour wait. No, I'm not joking about that. It literally had a 12-hour wait. They had people in line winding through backstage, back through the park, back to the backstage area again, just because of the fact that they needed space for these people to wait, because that's how excited people were for this ride. Additionally, there's also complimentary package delivery. So if you order something at the parks, as long as it's not on your last day where you're checking out, you actually can get it delivered back to your resort room. So that way you don't have to worry about lugging things around or picking them up at the end of the day. They'll bring them right to your room for you. Much like I do with Disney, I am going to do a deeper dive with the hotels and with everything else. But I wanted to talk about them a little bit because there is a lot of cool things that you can do at the Universal hotels. And actually, one thing that I forgot to put in my notes, and I just realized that I didn't, is when you're staying at a Universal hotel, you can go to all the pools. Whether you want to go to the pool at your resort or you want to go to a different pool, you can go to the different pools and experience those. That's one of the things that Universal will allow you to do that isn't allowed at, say, Disney World, because, well, I think everybody would end up at the Polynesian pool or something like that. So moving on to Universal Studios now. So Universal Studios has they have what they call 3 theme parks. There's 2 that we view as traditional theme parks, and then they have a water theme park as well. Universal Studios is the flagship. This is the one that they started with. This is all themed around blockbuster action, so film, TV shows, popular entertainment, all brought to you live in the actual parks. They have 20 attractions and 8 themed lands. So they really have done a very good job of when you get into a land, for example, say you go to Dr. Seuss. They have a whole area themed to Dr. Seuss, and I just realized that I picked a land that's in Islands of Adventure, not in Universal Studios, but they have an area for say, Harry Potter. And one of the things that I hear a lot is, oh, I want to go visit Harry Potter. you want to beware of what you're looking for, because Universal Studios has put Harry Potter into both of their major theme parks. So they have half of it in Universal Studios and they have half of it in Islands of Adventure. So it's not something that like you're just gonna, oh, I'm gonna go to Universal Studios today, I get to see everything Harry Potter. Smart for them is the fact that they put it in both parks, so now you have to go to both parks to experience everything. But also it splits up the crowd a little more. So that way, if you don't purchase something like a park-to-park pass where you can go between the parks, you have to use 2 days of your parks to go to all of Harry Potter. They do a lot of different thrill rides. They do things like Transformers the Ride and Men in Black, Alien Attack. Additionally, like I talked about Harry Potter, they in Universal Studios, they have Diagon Alley. They have the Wand Shop. They also have Gringotts Bank, which has Escape from Gringotts, which is a ride that's built into it. So that's some of the stuff that Harry Potter has, as well as some of the more thrill rides. They also have family rides, though. There's Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem. There's Shrek 4D. I'm only naming a few of them because I don't want to just name a lot of rides for you guys and not talk about them a lot. But I do want to kind of give you an idea of some of the rides that you can go see there. They also do have kids rides and kids attractions. So for those that aren't tall enough to go on like the thrill rides, they have Curious George Goes to Town. They also have a Playland themed after Fievel. I grew up with The American Tail, so it was one of those movies that I remember watching on a pretty frequent basis. I'm pretty sure that VHS actually got worn out. And so for me, I'd love to see my kids playing on Fievel's Playland because it's all themed after that movie. They also have shows like Ollivanders. They have not been doing parades, so I'm not going to start naming all the parades and other events that they do that they're not doing right now because, well, it's not much of a point to name something that you're not going to be able to go do right now. But they are slowly bringing things back as they're allowed to. So hopefully in the coming months, we're going to see more announcements of they're able to do parades with social distance spacing, and they're able to do other things. Actually, I just realized one other thing that I forgot to mention before is Universal Studios, much like Disney, has limited capacity right now. One of the things that Universal has done that's very smart, and partially because their parks are connected via an actual attraction, is they're factoring every single one of their resort guests into the capacity of the park. So if you have a resort reservation, however many days you have that resort reservation for, you are factored into their attendance. So that way then you're guaranteed to be able to get into the park if you're staying in their resorts. It's something that I like that they're doing. It's also easier because both their parks are connected via an attraction. So their actual, their attendance numbers are based on the combined capacity of both parks. It's not something where they split them out via each park like Disney has to do because they're not connected that way. Universal Studios Islands of Adventure is the second park in Universal Studios. This one is themed more around like ancient myths, timeless classics, cartoons, action heroes. If you're a fan of Marvel, this is the area you're going to. All the Marvel stuff is contained in Islands of Adventure, as well as things like, I know they have a Popeye ride. There are things like the other half of Harry Potter. The cool thing that Universal did is that they connected their parks via an attraction for Harry Potter. So if you want to ride the Hogwarts Express, you can do that, but you have to have a park-to-park ticket. So it's not something like, and if you're going to Universal Studios, it's like, oh, well, I can get it and ride it there and back. No, you have to have that park-to-park ticket because then it's going to allow you to go to both those parks. And that's what opens up that pass to ride on the Hogwarts Express. At Universal Studios, they have 16 different attractions, and they have 7 themed lands. So it's slightly smaller as far as that goes, but not noticeably. It's not something that you're walking through going, oh, this is a tiny park now. And they also are building more attractions right now. So that one is the park that's getting more focus as far as getting additional attractions. So hopefully it's something that in the future we're going to see those numbers even out a little more. I know, well, we don't know for sure, but there is one ride that is rumored to be coming out, and it looks like it's going to be in Jurassic Park, or in the Jurassic Park area. So we don't know what the ride is yet, but it does look to be a roller coaster that is going to be opening up in that area. So that'll be nice to add an additional high traffic ride, because Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is also in Islands of Adventure, and that one is a massive draw for people because that is where that's where most of the traffic goes. Some of the other thrills and adventures rides that are there's Jurassic Park River Adventure, as well as the Incredible Hulk Coaster. So you do have some rides that are, if you're looking for thrill rides, and that's your main goal, Universal Studios is the park that you want to go to, because their rides are more thrilling. They do go faster than the rides at Disney. Not saying Disney rides aren't thrilling and a lot of fun and everything else, but if you're a coaster junkie, Universal Studios is really the place you want to go because they have a lot of them. They also do have some family rides, though, and keeping with the same theme of Harry Potter and Jurassic Park, just to kind of give you examples, Flight of the Hippogriff is another ride that's in Harry Potter, or that's in Harry Potter Land, that is, again, that theme. Just like you have Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, try to say that 5 times fast. They do have rides in that area for different thrill levels. So it's not something that's like, oh, well, no, I'm not a huge thrill seeker, so I'm not going to go to that area. They try to balance all of them, so that way then there's a thrilling ride, there's a family ride, and then there's also something for the kids to do. So that being said, in Jurassic Park, there's also Discovery Center, which is a family ride that can be ridden by everybody. The kids also have some fun rides. Dr. Seuss Land is in Islands of Adventure. This is one that, honestly, looks really cool to me because it's something that it's themed around all those stories that we grew up with. There's One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, the ride. There's also High in the Sky Seuss Trolley Train Ride. There's Carousel. So it's a carousel that's based on Dr. Seuss. They do have some additional nighttime attractions that are done for the Harry Potter exhibit as well, because they actually do a nighttime lights on Hogwarts Castle. So they bring the castle to light at night. As well as they also have a Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally. I haven't seen this one, but from what I understand, it actually looks pretty cool, and it's a lot of projection mapping and everything else to bring things alive that you wouldn't normally think you'd get to see. The third theme park that they have is their water theme park. This is Volcano Bay. This one actually has 30 different unique experiences, 19 different attractions, and 3 different villages. It's all themed around the same thing. So the villages each have showers. They each have lockers. They all have similar theming. It's not like if you go to one, it's like you're going to miss out on the other 2. But because they're all themed around the same sort of theme, it's just different color schemes and those sort of things. In the middle of all of it, and actually what you can see still in this picture in the background here, because I'm realizing I forgot to switch my images, that's a 200-foot tall volcano in Volcano Bay. So Volcano Bay has a 200-foot tall volcano that has a ride built into it that is part of the actual water park attractions. They have founded this and actually done some really cool things with this. They founded it, not only did they build this, but ironically slightly ahead of their time, because they've built this all around tech and design. So what I mean by that is they actually have wristbands that you get to use for the day while you're in the park. You link them to your Universal account, and these wristbands you'll return at the end of the day, and then they'll reset them before they give them out to somebody else the next day. But the cool part is, and those are called Tap2 bands. It's TAPTU. The cool part about these is, first of all, they have a virtual queue that they've been doing this whole time. Something that they've now started doing in all of their other parks. They've had this technology because they've been doing it in their water park since day one. And what this means is basically you walk up and say this was your Tap2 band. You're going to walk up, tap it on the thing, and then your band is going to tell you what time to come back to ride that ride. And you can do up to 2 of these at a time. And then from there, you can go do something else. So if you want to go get a bite to eat, if you want to get a drink, if you want to go sit in one of the pools, you can go do that. And then when it's time for you to go back for your ride, you just go back and tap your band again, and then you walk into the virtual queue. This is something they've instituted with their parks now, but it's something that they've had this technology in Volcano Bay for a long time. There's also some interactive experiences. If you happen to be on the lazy river, just to warn you, if you're going under a bridge, there's generally a water gun that kids can tap their Tap2 bands on, and it'll spray you as you're going past. There's a lot of other interactive experiences. There's some really cool ones. You can do a whole scavenger hunt where your Tap2 band brings things to life, and you'll see different lighting things happen and different interactions happen throughout the entire Volcano Bay Park. So it is something that, unlike a lot of water parks, this truly is a full day park. And it's not like, half the day is spent in the lazy river or the wave pool. There are a lot of things for you to do in this park that you wouldn't think of right off the top of your head. The other thing that your Tap2 band is it's Tap2 Pay. So it is your cashless purchases. So that way you don't have to carry around your wallet, you don't have to carry around your everything else. You have your band that you can use to tap to pay. It makes it nice because of the fact that you don't have to worry about carrying all those things around. But additionally, it allows you that you can set it up ahead of time via your Universal app, that you don't even have to worry about setting it up when you get there. As long as you set it up before you leave, then it's all set. All you have to do is pick it up, log in, and then you're ready to go with your Tap2 ride, Tap2 play, and Tap2 pay. They do have a lot of different attractions as well. Like I said, they have 19 different attractions that you can go on. There's everything from thrills and adventure, like Ta'awa, the Fearless River, and also, and I apologize for my pronunciation of things, Ko'okiri Body Plunge. So it's a plunge slide. They have multiple different thrill and adventure rides that give you something that's not just your normal, you know what, it's a standard water park. They do have those drop slides and those sort of slides as well, but they do things to add on top of it. Additionally, they have family rides. So they have one, and it's called the Krakatau Aqua Coaster. This one's really cool because it's not like a normal tube ride where it's like you have to continually go down the whole time to finally get to the end of the ride. This one actually has jets that push you back uphill. So it becomes like an aqua coaster. It's not something where kids will be scared to go on it, but it definitely is something that allows you some extra thrills that you wouldn't normally see in a normal water park. There's also Wakaturi Beach, where the family can go and hang out on the beach, and there's a zero depth entry pool there, and there's a lot of things for the kids to do. So, and then finally, for the smaller kids, there's a couple of them. First of all, there's Tot Tiki Reef, which is just a cute little name for the toddlers to go run around and play on a bunch of things. And then my favorite name for probably any attraction that I've seen so far, Runamucka Reef. So the kids get to run around and play, and there's water guns and there's slides and there's a bunch of different things for smaller kids to play on. And to come up with a name for a kids area as Runamucka, I kind of find that a little fun. There's also some relaxing indulgences. So the Reef is a spot that you can just go sit and relax. And then also Kopek Winding River is their lazy river. Like I said before, just beware if you're on the lazy river. There are things that the Tap 2 band can actually activate where it's some water or some other different features that you want to keep your eyes out for as you're going through that. Additionally, there are some upgrades that you can reserve ahead of time or if they're still available while you're there. There's premium seating, so there's specific seating that you can actually rent that is more ideal for either moving around the park or specifically like right towards the edge of the water. Or also there are cabanas that you can rent. So you can rent a cabana where you have your own private area that like you can close the drapes off if you need. If you're trying to avoid the sun for a little bit, you can open them up and you have your own private area to sit in where you don't have to worry about people walking through your area that like when you're talking or something like that. Just kind of gives you a couple different options. And that is something I can help you book ahead of time. So if it's something you're like, hey, we know we're going to be there for a day. We want a spot that's just ours. We don't have to worry about anything. No problem. I can help you out with that. So those are the 3 parks that they have. It is something that you definitely want to try to hit all 3 if you can. If water parks aren't your thing, then obviously pass on Volcano Bay. But it's not something that the general traveler I would recommend missing because Volcano Bay is a very cool experience that you won't be able to get at a lot of other water parks. The last section that they have, much like Disney World has Disney Springs, Disneyland has Downtown Disney, Universal has City Walk. They have shopping in here. They have dining in here. They do a lot of full service dining. So there's and I forgot to write down the exact number. There's quite a few different restaurants. Some of them are chains, some of them are not. It just depends on exactly what you're looking for. There's things like Hard Rock Cafe and Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, which are more like the chains. But then there's also Big Fire American Grill, and one that, and Tammy, since I know you're still on, and one that you probably will want to go to is the Toothsome Chocolate Factory and Savory Feast Kitchen. So they have a whole chocolate factory there, which might be like your happy place or something. So I have a hunch next time if we go to Universal Studios, that may be a stop that we're going to go to. They also have quick service things like Moe's Southwest Grill, Starbucks, and also Voodoo Donuts, just to name a few of them. They do also have some nighttime entertainment, so they have nightclubs, they have theaters. Some of those would include things, there's family fun ones, which are like Universal Cinemark, Hollywood Drive-In Golf, and Blue Man Group. They do have some adults only, some of which are like City Walk's Rising Star, Pat O'Brien's Dueling Pianos. Pat O'Brien's is a restaurant that's there, but then at a certain point they switch it to adults only and it becomes a dueling piano bar. There's also a place called the Red Coconut Club. So different places that you can go on your travels that will allow you different experiences based on that. There are some different upgrades that you can do for Universal Studios. First one is the park to park. I talked about this a little bit before, but if you want to ride the Hogwarts Express, the only way you can do this is getting the park to park. So you want to make sure, if that's something that's a goal of yours, then you want to make sure you pay for that additional feature. The other one that you can add on is the dining plan. So they have a quick service dining plan, which provides you a quick service meal, a snack, and hold on, I just forgot the other piece. And one beverage throughout the day. The full service dining plan, on the other hand, gives you one full service meal, one quick service meal, one snack, and one beverage as well. So the nice part about the dining plan at Universal Studios is that if you want to have it for one day of your trip, you can have it for one day. If you want it for one person one day on your trip, you can do that as well. You don't have to have this for your entire stay. You don't have to have this for everybody in your party. So the nice part is if you're traveling with a large group, you all don't have to say, oh yes, we all want it, or no, we don't all want it. It can be on individual basis. So if the kids aren't going to have it and the adults are, that works. If the adults are, if only half your group wants to have it, that's fine too. Or say you only want it for 2 days because the other days you're planning on eating somewhere else, or you're planning on staying at Universal Studios, but you want to go to Disney World for a couple days, or you want to go to SeaWorld for a couple days. This allows you to not have to have it where you feel like you have to use all of those credits for your entire trip. Back to the park to park, though, for just a second. These parks are very close. The fact that they're connected by Hogwarts Express it gives you kind of a clue that these are very close to each other. The other thing is they're both within walking distance. City Walk actually connects both Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. So it gives you that advantage that, this park is really crowded right now. You can look and say, oh, look, the wait times at the other park are actually pretty low. Let's just walk over there instead. So the park to park gives you that option, and because the parks are so close, you can actually transition to a different park pretty quickly. Universal Studios is doing something with obviously the restrictions that they have with COVID, that you do have to get your temperature checked before you can enter for the day. But once you get your temperature checked that day, you get a colored wristband. So you don't have to worry about going through that process to go to the other park. You've already gone through the check once. So if you go back to your hotel, or if you go to the other park, or say you go to City Walk for lunch, you don't have to worry about going through that portion of the check again. Again, that's just one more thing that makes the park to park more advantageous, is you can look and see, the wait times over at Islands of Adventure are a lot shorter right now. There's a ride I've really wanted to hit over there. I've wanted to do Incredible Hulk roller coasters, and it's only a 25-minute wait. We're going to go over there now, so that way then we can go do that, and you don't have to worry about, oh shoot, we didn't do the park to park. We got to change our tickets. We have to do something else before we can actually switch over. They are running a lot of promotions right now too. So Universal is still accepting reservations, whether it's ticket reservations, whether it is resort reservations, they're still accepting them. Like I mentioned before, Disney is not, and again, they're two different entities in that aspect, in the fact that Disney has a whole different layout than Universal does. So Universal is able to do some of these things that really kind of makes it as an advantageous place to go right now, because there's very little you're losing from the experience, whereas with Disney you are losing things because you can't bounce from park to park. You can't go, and the parades aren't happening, and other things aren't happening. But I'm not saying don't go to Disney, because if you have a trip booked and you want to go, 100% I say go, because there's still so much that you can do there. But what I'm saying is, if you're looking for a trip that you can do, Universal is a great option, because A, you actually can book it, and B, it's something that you get to experience almost everything that you would normally get to experience. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a trip, Universal is a great option, and they've been doing really well with a lot of the restrictions. By instituting the virtual queue throughout the parks, it's something that you really are able to get to do a lot of different things, and you don't have to wait in a lot of the lines. So they've been able to space out that social distancing pretty well. That being said, I appreciate everybody joining me today. To all the fathers, again, happy Father's Day. I appreciate if any of you took any time out of your Father's Day to watch this. That means a lot to me. And then also, if you are looking to book a trip to travel in 2020 especially, but 2021 as well, let me know. Universal has some really nice specials going on right now. And if you book by the end of June, 10% of my commissions are going to Give Kids the World, as long as you travel within 2020, which again is an amazing charity that provides cost-free vacations to families with children with terminal illnesses. So it's a charity that I truly believe has a place in this world, and they are doing amazing things for families. So I appreciate you all joining me today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to help anybody with your vacations, with your planning, with everything. I don't just do theme parks, but my specialty is theme parks. So I would love to help you out with anything. If you're looking to go somewhere, say, even if you're looking to take just a quick trip over to, say you live near me and you just want to go to Chicago for the weekend, I can help you with your travel plans there, and I can help you book different things. I'm not just limited to Florida or other areas. I can help you with the little vacations that are weekend long ones. I can help you with things that are week long ones. Whatever you're looking for, I can customize a vacation to meet your needs. So that way, then you just have to do the relaxing, because that's my goal, is that your trip fits exactly what you want, and you get to go and do the relaxing and look like the superstar planner because you had me helping you behind the scenes. Well, thank you all for joining me again, and I'll see you all real soon.